your children well, their father's house. It's a little country and westernish. Do you know the song?
No.
What? You know all that old stuff. So this is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Before they became Crosby, Stills and just Nash because Young left.
No.
You look so impressed. Anyway, the song is Teach Your Children. So I'll just classically fade it out. Here we go.
Hi everyone! Woohoo! We're here!
Hey,
Sorry,
you guys.
we're late. We're late for school, as per usual.
Late for school. That hasn't happened too much. So
One day I asked Tegan, my youngest, there was a list of questions on Facebook that it said to ask your children. And one of the questions was, what is your mum good at? And you know what Tegan said?
what?
What did you say, Tegan?
She doesn't remember.
Mum's good at missing the bus.
She doesn't want to be punished.
So anyway, there you go.
Not so much though, recently.
No, that's because we've been on school holidays. But school in New South Wales is back this week.
This week. And so it's Monday night. That means it's Kim's top 5, and tonight it is top 5 for teachers. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see Jeremy's little
I've
outfit.
got my academic gown on. Now,
Where's your hat? You need a hat.
Oh, yeah. The brickies down the road are using that. Now, do you know how hard it was to find a song that was appropriate for teachers?
I hadn't really thought about it because
It's
I literally
impossible.
walked in the door like
I think
3 minutes ago. That's why we're late.
I think we have this love-hate relationship with teachers because there was Van Halen's Hot for the Teacher. There was
School's Out by Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper singing School's Out. There was Pink Floyd singing Hey Teacher, Leave Those Kids Alone. There was ABBA singing I Kissed the Teacher. Let's face it, people either love us or hate us.
Cool.
Okay, so what's happening tonight?
So tonight, given that I'm not a teacher,
And
I'm probably not even a teacher's pet, but
Yeah, no, you are.
I've actually handed the ball over to Jeremy. So it's Jeremy's top 5 tonight, given that he's a teacher. He's going to talk about the Young Living products that he recommends for the classroom and especially to help out teachers.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in a couple of my favourites.
Yep, good.
Jeremy's got the gig.
Alrighty.
Take it away, Jeremy.
Alrighty, I'm ready to go. So, school is back, and I think people do have a bit of a love-hate relationship with teachers. I think of some of my teachers who I really respected. I think of others who I gave a really hard time to. Did you ever give your teacher a hard time? Have you got a good story?
No.
Well, I've got a couple of hints for kids if you're listening, okay? How to annoy a teacher. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Birchnell, who was my Year 9 teacher, Ancient History. A couple of tricks we used to do. One was if you sit right at the back of the room and hum in a very low tone, you can find the resonant frequency of the room. And then the whole room just starts to shake. And he couldn't tell where it was coming from. So we just sat back going, drove him crazy. Poor old Mr. Birchnell. The other thing which he loved to do was when we were working, he would read and he would sit back and lean back on his chair. And I noticed that I could just get my toe under the leg of his chair. And so one day when he was really relaxed, I just flicked my toe up, and he almost fell down. He looked so unco. So it was beautiful. Anyway, shout out to Mr. Birchnell. You're a good guy, and I'm sorry I gave you a hard time. Anyway,
And you're a teacher now.
yeah, well, it's karma.
I'm glad you aren't teaching my kids.
Karma, it will bite you in the bum. But there you go. So I want to give you my top 5 for teachers. But if you're not a teacher, then still hang around because these top 5 they'll also be great for parents. They're also great for students. So, and you'll see. I think
I can see that there's more than 5 products here. So I'm just going to flick up the...
Okay, yep, thank you. So number 5.
Yeah,
let's
I don't
start.
even know what they are. So I don't know where to start with this array of 50 million products. But which is number 5?
So one of the things about being a teacher is you want to create an environment in your classroom that's creative, it's productive, but it's also calm, but it has energy. So it's actually quite a tricky thing. And there's lots of ways you can do that. I know in primary school people put up posters and they have all kinds of cool things there. And you want it to be interesting but not distracting, and that's kind of a fine balance. Now, one of the other things which I reckon is totally overrated is the use of scent in the classroom. Now, you can tell me a little bit, why is scent so important to us?
So I guess scent is actually the fastest sense out of all our senses,
Yep.
like out of actually hearing, seeing, touching. Smell is actually the fastest way into our brain.
Yep.
Because our nose, basically just breathes it in and goes straight up into the limbic system of our brain, and actually affects our mood, our memories, our behavior,
Yep.
all of those things. So it can actually affect children's behavior and children's mood. So
Absolutely. So if you're a teacher and you wanted to have some kind of control over creating an awesome atmosphere in your classroom,
I just have to go for a minute because my 7-year-old has just bitten on a carrot, and I'd say that her tooth has fallen out. So
Okay.
please forgive me.
that's so funny. Oh, she's okay. So, so scent is such a powerful way of creating atmosphere and a productive atmosphere in the classroom. As Kim said, scent goes straight to our limbic system, which does control all those things. It's about emotion and behavior and, all those kinds of things which are right where kids live, In fact, the limbic system is often called the reptile brain or the ancient brain. And sometimes I look at some kids and I don't think they've come past that. They haven't got to the frontal lobe, which is about control and stuff. So you can use scent to, come on in,
Sorry,
to
I'm
set
back.
the atmosphere in your classroom. And so my number 5 is a diffuser. I reckon that's the first powerful tool that you can add in your arsenal of stuff to create a great atmosphere in your classroom. Now, you might notice I've gone old school with the diffuser, right?
That way, if the kids steal it, it's only like your least favourite one.
Yeah. So this is the Dewdrop diffuser. It was kind of the original one, which came with the premium starter kit. And I actually picked this because it doesn't have a whole lot of flashing lights and stuff. It doesn't have a remote control. It really only has one setting. It looks pretty plain, so it's not going to distract the kids, but it still works a treat. So there's a little plate inside here which vibrates at 1.7 million times a second, and that releases molecules of essential oil into the air. And they go straight up your students' noses, and that starts to influence them, their behavior, their mood, their attention, all those things. So, and here's the thing, at this time, and I'm pretty sure this is right, but at this time when we're recording this, the old Dewdrop diffuser, it's being phased out. So they're
It's been given an upgrade.
Oh, okay. So they've got a 20% discount on these old ones. So you can get them at a great price. And I'm pretty sure it also comes with a lemon and a lavender
a 5
oil.
ml lemon and a 5 ml lavender. And it's because it's getting an upgrade. It's going to have some new features. So
Okay. Cool.
and you'll be pleased to know that no, Tegan's tooth did not fall out. It's just that she's managed to bite her lip because she's losing all her teeth on the bottom.
Ow.
She's only 7, and so it's just bleeding.
Ow.
But she's got some ice on it now, so it's okay.
Okay. Panic averted. If we needed to.
That's how you know we're live.
We've got stuff.
No
happens.
pre-recording.
Just be thankful we don't have a rat running past. Anyway, so number 5, diffuser for a teacher. And now, if you wanted to give one to your teacher in the classroom, now's a really good time to get them.
Yeah,
20% off
and
the usual price plus a couple of oils to go with it.
that's 20% off the wholesale price if you're already a wholesale member. I noticed that Sharon said that she has that exact one in her classroom.
Yep.
Sharon's school has actually been doing a little bit of an experiment, diffusing lavender into the classrooms. And so, there are schools out there that are experimenting with using calming oils in the classroom. So there you go.
Okay, that leads me to my number 4 because it's great to have a diffuser going, but our lives are full of all kinds of chemicals and stuff, and especially kids' lives. Kids are much more sensitive to these things often because they haven't had as much of an exposure as us adults have. So it's great to be diffusing stuff, but we also need to look at what's actually in the classroom. Now, when I was a kid, I don't think they ever cleaned our desks, except maybe once a year at the end when they just scrape off all the chewy underneath the desk. But these days, I'm guessing they pretty much clean the kids' desks every day. We have this kind of germophobia thing happening. So they're going to be cleaning it, and they'll be using some kind of toxic cleaning chemicals, right? And so the kids and you, if you're a teacher, you're going to be smelling that stuff. Kids are going to have their hands on it. That's going to get into their mouth. And quite quickly, that's going to get into their system. And those kind of toxic chemicals are going to have all kinds of effects on the students and the teachers. So rule number 1, try and get rid of that stuff, you know. And that's where my number 4 comes in.
Hiya, Maya.
Now, I actually recommended this to last time I did a top 5, which was for the gym, and that's the Thieves household cleaner. So give us, how would I use this in the classroom?
So I guess I'd be making it up in a spray and
Like
wiping
that?
down the desks or the keyboard, or like when I used to work in an office, I used to use it to spray my phone if other
Yep.
people were using my desk, and spray my computer and my desk. But yeah, definitely doing that. But the other thing that you can do, if you can't use a diffuser, like, you know, because sometimes they have to have the test and tag thing done to them, or maybe your school has said no to the diffuser, just making up a spray bottle. So you can even use the Thieves spray as a bit of an air freshener. Fine mist
Yeah.
over the, or you can put essential oils. I mean, one of the oils that I love for the classroom is actually purification, to purify the air. So putting that in the diffuser, or putting that in the Thieves spray, and so that way you've got the Thieves and the purification. Great after lunch, because you know how those smelly kids come in after running around with no deodorant
Yep.
on, and they're particularly smelly. Well, purification, or if they've had smelly feet, purification. And Kayla's actually saying that she wipes down everything, and Kayleen's saying that she cleans the daycare toys with
Yep,
it. So
absolutely.
there you go. Lots of different ways to use Thieves Cleaner. I've even used it on whiteboards. Now, it's definitely not as good as whiteboard cleaner, so I'm not going to lie.
But it won't
But
kill
it's
you.
not as toxic. Like when I used to do presentations and things like that in the office, I'd write up on all the whiteboard, and then like you're stuck in this tiny little room, and people would want to spray with the whiteboard cleaner. I'm like, no, that stuff is so toxic, because then we're all, you know, breathing in all
Yep.
those chemicals from the whiteboard cleaner. So
Absolutely.
I'd rather use the Thieves.
If you're wondering how to get this into your school, here's a couple of suggestions, okay? Number 1 is, as Kim said, make up a little spray bottle. It'll cost you under $1 to do that, and so there's a whole bonus right there. Give it to your child's teacher and just say, look, try this out. Try it out at home even. Get them to try it out at their home, or even if you give it to the principal or the most influential person in the entire school, the principal's secretary, because if you can get them using it and realizing just how good it is, you got a great chance of getting in there. So that's my number 4.
And the other thing is that you can get the material safety data sheet.
Yep.
So if you are a preschool or a school and you'd like to use the Thieves Cleaner, there is a material safety data sheet that we can get you. It's also, if you're already a Young Living member, it's already in the virtual office, so if you look it up.
Yep.
Or you can email the office and they'll send you one out, because it's important to have that material safety data sheet on hand at your school, because it is a cleaning product.
Yep.
So.
Your classroom will smell like chai. Everyone loves it. It's a win-win-win for everyone.
Yep.
So that's my number 4. Number 3, it's tempting to think
Did you get one out?
that teachers... No. It's tempting to think that teachers only work, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Don't they?
40 weeks of the year. Well, it's tempting to think that, and I wish it was true. But the reality is, when I was full-time teaching, I was getting to school at 7 and I was still doing preparation late into the night, and particularly the dreaded marking. So if you're an English teacher, my heart goes out to you. You're just suffering, I know that. So what do? Before I met Kim and I was teaching full-time, I was going through a bit of a difficult, challenging time. And so I would start every day with a bucket of hot chips and a cold can of Coke. Now, as you can imagine, that's not the recipe for a great life. Or
I
great
couldn't
health
believe
or
someone
that was,
drank Coke.
That was what it took to get me going in the morning. And there are a bunch of reasons for that. But I guess what I'm saying is it can be really stressful being a teacher. And you do work long hours, and I honestly, I think teachers deserve all the holidays they get. But, so, okay, what do you do if you have to sit up late? You don't want to go for one of those energy drinks. They're full of sugar. They're full of all kinds of weird and wonderful stuff. So is there a natural alternative? Bam! Yes, there is. This is my number 3. I don't know if you can read it there, but it's Ningxia Zing. Now, it's great stuff. It tastes good.
I love the taste.
It does, yeah. Well, and it's got wolfberries, which are also in Ningxia Red, which is kind of the Young Living signature drink. So that's really good. I've got the list up here.
Black pepper,
It's got
lime.
black pepper, yep, lime. They're the main things, but it's also got kind of, let me have a look here, natural flavors, sweeteners. It's got, now the kick comes from white tea extract. So that's going to give you a little caffeine boost, but nothing like you're going to get. And the beautiful thing is it's only 35 calories.
35 calories, like that's nothing.
Now, just to give you a comparison, I can't mention the product, but let's just say it's the mother of all energy drinks. A can comes in at 246 calories. So
246 is like 7 times as much.
it's insane. Okay, so that's 35
7 times.
calories, all natural, no dodgy stuff, and that's going to keep you going at night. So that's my number 3. Zing! Okay, number 2.
And it really does get you zinging.
Number 2. The start of term is coming, the start of the year, and I reckon everyone gets a little bit antsy. Everyone gets a little bit nervous. Students are nervous about going to school if it's their first time or if they're starting high school or even just if they're going back. And teachers are the same, because as much as I'd love to say that, you know, all students are wonderful and all schools are great, the reality is schools can actually be quite stressful places, and there can be a lot of conflict in schools. So that kind of generates quite a bit of anxious feeling, right? So my number 2, and we've talked about this a lot before, but my number 2 is Valor blend of essential oils. Now, this was Gary Young's, one of his favorites. He created it, and you love it, don't you?
I absolutely love it. I roll it on. I, carry the roller in my handbag. Yep. I love the smell. That's why our team's called Team Valor.
Yep. So,
and we live in Valor.
Yep.
It's spelled different.
So I think everyone can benefit from this. It was funny. I've been at vacation care during the holidays. So, and the other day I was reading on the sheet and it said there are kids there with ADD, then there were kids with ADHD, and then there are even kids with ODD. And I thought, well, that's odd. But because I'd never seen it before. And I said, so what's ODD? And they said oppositional defiance disorder. And I said, well, isn't that just another name for puberty? But
I never know where you're going with this stuff.
Well, it's true. Like, if you're a teacher, it's one of the things that you just have to deal with is kids just not doing what you ask them to do. So that can be quite stressful. So at a personal level, I've had some interesting times in the classroom over the last year, and I start every day before I teach by putting some Valor on over my heart. And it's a great mix. So it's got Northern Lights black spruce, it's got camphor, it's got blue tansy, it's got frankincense, it's got geranium in it. So it's soothing, it's grounding, it's calming, but I find it also gives you a real sense of peace, and out of that comes a sense of strength and courage. So that's a really powerful combination to walk into a classroom with. And just a bit of encouragement for teachers. One thing which I always try and remember is it's your classroom. You know, what happens in there is your responsibility, but just make sure it's your classroom. So take up space, move around, have courage, and your students will appreciate that greatly. You can also put it on the bottom of kids' feet before they go. Is that where you put it?
Yeah. So basically, if you drew a line down from your child's big toe to... Oh, Tegan wants to show you. Tegan's feet are really dirty.
It's
She's
just
sitting
over there.
here on the floor. But
Dirty.
they're not dirty. If you drew a line from their big toe down to their heel, that's like their spine line, and that's a really good place to draw a line with the Valor. Basically, if you put it on your finger and you draw it down, or a couple of drops, and and doing the Valor balance, like I showed you on the week when we did top 5 for feeling anxious.
Yep.
It's particularly good for that. So
Yep.
if you've got a teacher in your life and they're feeling a bit anxious, breakfast before going to school, you could give them a Valor Balance.
Exactly. And if you want to know...
Their feet aren't stinky. And if they are, then use Purification.
and that's a good point. We do have another video on
Feeling
anxious
anxious.
feelings. Yeah, I got it. And you can find that on our YouTube channel, which is Hot Ole Mama. So now, as well as Valor, just quickly, there's a couple of other things that I have in my school bag when I go to school. One is peppermint, great for just a drop on the hand, roll around 3 times, breathe it in. Peppermint peps you up, so that's a good one. I also have energy. Some mornings, if I'm a bit sluggish, drop of energy behind each ear, and that really gets me going. So there are 2 things. I usually have lemon in my bag as well, so I put a couple of drops of that in my water bottle, and that's kind of zips me up as well. So that brings me to number 1, because the other thing which I always have in my school bag when I go to school is this one, my number 1. You probably guess what it is.
Shelley did. She wrote that it'll be in there.
Absolutely, Stress Away. Now, I've actually got the Stress Away roller here, which is the way I prefer to take it. Really interesting starting at a new school and getting to know the staff and watching as things happen. I was in the English department. One day I just pulled this out and I said, "How are you going? Would you like to try some of this?" And they said, "What is it?" I said, "Stress Away." And they went, "What does it do?" And I said, "Stress Away." So just give it a try. So
the name says it all.
it does. So put it on the inside of the wrists, just rub them together there, and then breathe it in. And I've got to say, out of everything I think that I've ever given people to try, apart from maybe the Thieves Cleaner, Stress Away has been a hit every time. And the next time I went back to school, got to lunchtime, people were stressed, and they actually said to me, "Have you got that Stress Away thing, that roller thing? Because I really need it today." So Stress Away, I would say, makes everything better. It's what I would call the de-escalator. So when things are starting to get out of control, that's my go-to. Use it with kids?
Yeah, definitely. And particularly because you are wearing it, you're acting like a human diffuser.
Exactly.
So if you can't, I mean, obviously you can put Stress Away in the diffuser,
Yep.
but if you can't use the diffuser, then just rolling Stress Away on acts as a human diffuser, and the aromas are permeating
Yeah.
the classroom. So
And kids love it. They appreciate it. So that's an awesome thing. Now, it's got a mix of vanilla and lime. That's kind of the dominant scents, I guess, in it. But it's also got copaiba. It's got lavender, cedarwood, and even some exotic ocotea from the jungles of Ecuador. So there's some pretty heavy-duty oils in that kind of selection. And they're really... It's not just about smelling good, but it's about emotional and spiritual and even physical well-being. So it's a great little thing. Along the way, we can't really say anything about eugenol and cedarol, can we?
not what they do, but you can go and Google
Yeah,
it.
look those things up, because both of those things are part... obviously, the cedarol comes from cedarwood, which is also in it, and the eugenol, which is the active ingredient in clove oil, it's also in the vanilla. So those things are pretty good. So anyway, Stress Away is my number 1. What more can I say?
Great.
Yep.
I was going to say, when Jeremy was talking about peppermint, but you can do this with RC or even with some Stress Away. When you go into the classroom and it's really stinky and you kind of need a gas mask, it's just putting a little bit under your nose. And then that helps to deal with the smell. But anyway, I get my top 1, even though I added Purification in before. But if you've got a teacher in your life and their classroom is a little bit noisy, and they come home and their head's just, full of tension and stuff, then I would suggest making them up a roller bottle with some M-grain. Okay, so
How do you spell that?
M-grain. Right? So just a roller bottle, and you know, I'd probably start, particularly if they're new to oils, but 10 to 20 drops of M-Grain in a 10 ml bottle, fill it up with some V6 or some carrier oil, pop the roller on it. They can roll it on their temples, the back of their neck, even their wrists, or their big toe, even in the point of their thumb. The M-Grain's really, really good for teachers, so make them up an M-Grain. If you haven't got M-Grain, you can use peppermint, obviously, but I find M-Grain works a lot better.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And of course, Kim's had her top one, so I'm not even going to mention Shutran.
Really?
I'm not going to say Shutran at all.
Okay.
No Shutran. It's gone. Oh, it's here, but it's gone. No Shutran.
Okay. So teachers shouldn't use Shutran.
Well, I was actually thinking, now that you come to mention that, those difficult parents. I was thinking,
They need Shutran.
I can't wait to try this. You know, the cranky mum who comes in, she's irate, she's angry, she wants to take it out on a teacher. I'm just going to put a little bit of dab there, putty in my hands, I think.
Oh.
Anyway, that's another story.
Can I just show you something? It's our show, why can't we?
Kim's
I just
top
want to
five.
tell you about roller bottles, because this is true for the roller bottles with the roller fitments as well. I mean, the reason I like making up roller bottles is because it makes your oils go further, because rather than, you know, it's just because you can use an oil neat doesn't mean that you should, or it's the most cost-effective way. So if you make up a roller bottle, you're adding in the carrier oil, it's helping dilute it a bit, good for your skin, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you want to push the roller bottle in, rather than forcing it in, even on the roller bottle fitments at Young Living Cells, all you need to do is place it in there, tighten up the lid, and the lid does it for all the hard work for you, and it screws it on. So there you go, little tip.
Awesome.
If you haven't seen that before, I know I've showed some of you before that.
Alrighty.
Okay,
So
that's it.
thank you very much for being with us. We've had a good time.
Yes.
You can relax now.
Yes.
You've had a big drive.
I have. We've been in Newcastle for the weekend, and we only just got home. So,
Came
Anyway.
in just in time.
that's right.
Alrighty, we'll see you guys.
Au revoir.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
See ya.